Prologue. Wandering. In the world of Diablo, Horadrim are considered powerful mages. In times of old, they were gathered together by the Archangel Tyrell to defeat the three prime evils: Diablo, Mephisto, and Baal. The Horadrim devoted themselves fully to the destruction of these demon lords, and though they sacrificed many losses in battle, they have left behind valuable tomes and teachings for the future generations. Our story begins in an abandoned town in Sanctuary. Cold, desolate, and unnerving as it looks, there is a strange beauty to it. Perhaps it's the silence, a feeling of calm before the inevitable storm. Calm isn't often an emotion one feels in the world of Sanctuary, and it is soon to be disrupted regardless. We begin to hear a whisper chanting, a prayer of protection, thick with a hint of fear and bated breath. Run! Now we can see them. 4 companions running through a dungeon under the church. 3 men that appear to be nothing more than common thieves, and another man, clearly the one who chanted the prayer. He must be a monk. The 4 flee from the sound of evil deeper into the dungeon, until they find themselves at a dead end. A door that they must enter through, but don't know how. A rough man hands the monk a key and tells him to open the door, as the other 3 brace to fight the ever-rising shrieks of the evils at hand. Who is this monk? Why is he here? He seems so out of his element. And yet, in this moment, he finds that he is the group's only hope. After some brief difficulties in reading the texts, he pushes through his fear and finds the answer. Yes, it's right there, written on the floor. The blood of 3, willingly given, will be required to open the door. Our monk friend beckons for 2 of the companions as they perform the requirements, while the rough man, clearly their leader, fends off the approaching monsters alone. To their relief, the door opens, and all in a moment, the monk finds himself turning around to see the door shut behind him, safeguarding him and his companions, but leaving their leader outside to suffer an horrific and inevitable death. If only this poor monk had a moment to process the loss. For the next moment, he would find himself tossed in the direction of more inscriptions. These companions of his grow ever more aggressive by the moment, insisting on him finding them gold in this dungeon. He stands up, confused by his surroundings and his predicament. He begins to read. By 3 they come, by 3 thy way opens. It dawns on him. There is no gold here. There's nothing good to be found here at all. These incantations are a summoning, and this place is evil. Sensing something is wrong, his companions press him harder, pushing his neck to the wall and yelling, "What is this place?" The monk chokes, his vision blurred from blood, tears, or delirium. He doesn't know. His heart sinks for a moment. He's not like these men. He came here for knowledge, not for gold. He wishes no one harm, and yet here he is, bloodied from a battle he never asked for, pressed for answers he does not have, and the only man in this group that was ever kind to him, he left for dead moments ago. Needing to say something, he gives his best guess. It's a temple, or maybe a tomb. An eerie yet familiar voice calls from what feels like every direction. It's a gate, the voice declares. As the monk looks around to see where it came from, one of his companions is quickly dragged away. Everyone's eyes follow the screams up towards the ceiling, where the bandit now resides, levitating in the air, every bone breaking in his body. The thief would find out, although he wouldn't have long to dwell on it. As he turned around, he sees the leader of his group, the one who should be dead, the one he essentially condemned to death with his actions moments before. Confused and fearful, he smashes the rough man's face in with his weapon, only to find his adversary unfazed. Injured, yes, but healing right away? What is this? He would never find out, as he would be levitated upside down into the air and pinned against a pillar across from his deceased partner. As his screams grow, we see blood begin to flow out from him and begin to form a shape with the blood of his companion, creating a gruesome art display for the confused monk below. "Thy eternal light protects me," he chants, again and again. As a man of faith, he wields his weapon of choice, prayer. And to be fair, up until this point, it has done a whole lot more for him than swords ever did for his predecessor. Feeling pulled towards his former companion and leader, he gains some level of clarity. It's not the man he thought it was. He has shifted into a different entity entirely. Pale, tall, and cold-looking. He brings even more fear to the monk's heart. Yet, he chants his prayer of protection nonetheless. The pale man has him close now, eye to eye. "There is no light here," he stated. "Only darkness. But you didn't come for the light. No. You came for knowledge." There is more to his words than would seem at face value. Something about them. Not the tone, not the words themselves even, but something enchanting. "Speak the words," he says. "Call her home." And as the last drop of will leaves him, he abandons his guard and begins the incantation. Levitated into a perfectly triangular position to his former companions, the monk feels the blood pierce through his chest as he finishes the incantation. His last moments spent on a glimpse of the horrors about to enter the world of Sanctuary through a portal that he just made. Sanctuary was never meant for humankind. It was forged as a refuge from the war between the high heavens and the burning hells. Instead, it became a new battleground in this eternal conflict. A secret group called the Haradrim has kept mortals safe. But now, this once powerful order is a husk of what it once was, and Sanctuary's ancient creators have returned to claim the hearts of mankind. This is the story of their downfall. In a world as hopeless and dark as this, there is little telling which way to turn for salvation. In the most unlikely of places, we focus our story on a lone wanderer in a barren land. For the ease of storytelling, we will call her Erica. From her clothes and the state of her horse, it is clear that Erica has been traveling a long time. She stops at an abandoned village. Villages like this are no rare occurrence in Sanctuary. After all, evil awaits at every corner of this world, and a village like this merely acts as a symbol of death and destruction. The mere whistle of the wind through the trees is bone-chilling, and Erica is not alone in her feelings. Erica's horse dashes away, clearly frightened by a nearby rustling that even the trained ear of a seasoned hunter may miss. Erica runs after her steed through the cold, dark woods. The trees create an ominous hallway for her, blocking out proper light of the moon and leaving her vulnerable to anything lurking in the pitch-dark tree lines on either side of her. She stops in her tracks. A corpse lays on the ground before her. It's her horse. Well, part of her horse at the very least. The horse is not only slain, it has been ravaged by some kind of beast. Erica looks around uneasy, pointing her torch to get better sight on any potential assailants, but nothing and no one reveals themselves. She grabs what she needs and turns her back to continue her search for refuge as the shadow of a giant wolf passes behind her. Erica, now intent on her search for a place to rest and escape the weather, is unaware of her predator. She continues on her journey. Hours elapse as she searches for refuge and eventually finds a cave. It provides great shelter from the weather, but does little to safeguard from stalking beasts. As she dozes off, she is tormented by visions of a wolf, bloodied and torn to the bone, down half of its face. This is the kind of creature we'd only believe to be found in nightmares, where the world of Sanctuary is home to many such creatures. And this one seems quite similar to the deep woods predator that her horse had the misfortune of meeting. This has been an eerie set of circumstances, to be sure. But as Erica wakes in the morning, she has little choice but to push such dreams to the back of her mind and continue on. It doesn't do to dwell on dreams in lands as treacherous as these. She presses on through the snow for hours, and as nightfall begins to descend, she is relieved to come across the gates of another village. The sign identifies this location as Nevesk, a fairly obscure village from the look of things. There are no sentries guarding the gate. The defenses are worn down, and it is not the name of any town that Erica has ever heard of before. Not one to easily be discouraged, however, Erica enters the village. At the very least, there will be some level of lodging to be found there. She walks no more than 50 feet when she hears a commotion from a nearby house. Many people may overlook this, but this wanderer has not heard from another human in weeks on her travels. Erica takes a deep breath and collects her composure. She then thrusts open the door with her hand on the hilt of her sword, ready for whatever dangers lie on the other side. To her surprise, there were few threats to be found in this house. In fact, as she looked at the two puzzled faces in front of her, she realized that she looked more the part of the villain than anyone. A little embarrassed, Erica pulled her hand off her sword hilt and apologized for the seemingly aggressive entrance. "Sorry, I thought I heard some trouble," she said as she walked forward to meet the two strangers. The first was a middle-aged man with a weathered face and a receding hairline. Despite the natural signs of aging, he seemed well put together, suited for a clear life of hardship. The woman was different, softer, dressed in what almost looked like too thick a cloak for the weather, and more frightened by far than the man. Looking down, she saw a man rocking back and forth, arms wrapped tightly around his knees, whispering to himself. Clearly something was wrong, but still, a little embarrassed and unsure how to proceed, Erica reached out her arm in introduction. "I'm Erica. I heard a commotion outside. Is everything okay?" "What's it to you?" the aging man said, before quickly being cut off by the woman. "My apologies, Wanderer. You've come at a difficult time. I'm Vanny, and this is Oswin. This madman just stumbled into town and began causing trouble. We aren't sure what to do." Looking down at the supposed madman, Erica is taken aback. She's seen many things on her journey, but this man was different. He looked wild, not unsimilar to an animal, at least from his eyes. Yet, he wears the garb of a holy man. As she bends down to greet him, she is quickly grabbed by the collar and pulled eye to eye with him. He looks at her wide, with those wild and terrifying eyes, before continuing his lucid chant. "Demons, spilling from the ruins. Kill us all. Kill us all!" Pushing him away from her, Erica stands back up, hoping to maintain at least some of her composure. She was clearly shaken by his words. "What ruins does he speak of, Vanny?" Vanny recounts her tale, as the ruins seem to have some significance to the city's history. The details of such things can be left for a separate story, but it is important to note that these ruins have not been safe for some time, and that the dangers within have been lurking ever closer to the city. Upon the completion of Vanny's tale, the two sit in silence for a moment. "I will go," Erica states, in the most confident tone that she could muster. As many wanderers before her, she has visions of glorious battles and discoveries, stories that would be told of her for generations. But she has not yet been battle-tested. This is her chance. Erica wastes no time. Already equipped with the proper weaponry for the upcoming battle, she gets up and marches forth from the village. Looking back at the sign of Nevesk, she wonders if this is all for naught. What purpose does she have in this battle? She could continue her travels right now, and no one beyond the broken down walls of Nevesk would ever be the wiser. That thought lasted about a moment, but it was quickly thrust to the side by another voice, a brave voice, the very same one that set her forth on her journey to begin with. This voice told her to press on, and so she did. Up the snowy mountains, through the dark forests, and eventually into the dark pits of Ice Howl Ruin. Chilled to the bone, feeling as though she's being watched, Erica realizes she couldn't have found a more appropriate name for this place if she were given a lifetime to do so. Each step she takes feels like it leaves an eternal echo down the dead halls. Scratch marks on the walls and ceilings, along with the remnants of dried blood, make her question herself, her purpose here again. But there's little time to do so. As she approaches the end of the hallway, she finds herself in something similar to a temple. And perhaps at one point it was. This was no temple now, however. If anything, it had become a shrine to evil. With demonic markers everywhere, she ran her hand across a nearby pillar, attempting to make its words out in the dimly lit room. X F A L Igsfall? Didn't have time to process its meaning, however, as a loud, androgynous groan alarmed her from behind. She turned to see him. Him, or it. She was unaware what to call this thing. It was easily over 10 feet, clothed in little more than a helmet and a loincloth. Its skin looked thick as leather, and the fangs sticking crookedly out of its mouth were almost as sharp as daggers. It approached, shaking the room. Each step was exceedingly strong, yet almost clumsy. Erica noted this. She didn't have this demon on strength, but dexterity and agility may grant her a victory. The beast swung a large, swooping strike at her with his club, missing her ultimately, but still causing her to stumble slightly from its sheer impact into the pillar behind her. The club stuck into the pillar, and as Erica repositioned herself defensively, she again noted the beast's low recovery time. As she began focusing on dodging the beast's blows, she knew that she had the stamina advantage. Rolling out of the way of the demon's downward smash, she then stood in front of a pillar and awaited his inevitable side swing. Right on cue, the demon swung, and Erica dove to the ground beneath him, causing him to miss and strike the pillar behind her. This was her chance. In the time it would take him to pull his club free of the highly damaged pillar, she was through his legs, slashing him from the back. The beast fell to his knees, and Erica took her first victory as she drove her sword to the back of his head. Back in the village of Nevesk now, Vanny can be found in the town pub, talking with the locals. Erica thinks nothing of this as she walks up and presents a cloth bag to Vanny. The heavy bag is severely bloodied and can only be one thing: the head of the Icehowl Ruins demon intruder. Vanny takes the bag and looks at Erica with shock. More than just a traveler, I see. Erica tries to hold back a smile, doing her best to look stoic and humble in victory. Vanny drops the head of the beast from the bag in front of the whole pub and exclaims that their troubles are now over. The townspeople rush her with gratitude and offer her drinks in appreciation. The party begins with dancing, singing, and a whole lot of drinking. As the night continues, Erica wonders why she's never heard of this village before. Sure, it isn't very well kept, but the people are pleasant, and they seem more than welcoming enough to wandering travelers. Perhaps it's a hidden gem, she decides, and finishes off another pint of ale. As she looks around her at her newfound friends, she sees doubles, and thinks to herself, "Whoa, this is some strong ale." As she sits there, hoping to return to some state of normalcy, everything begins to blur, and motion slows. Something is wrong. She looks around for Vanny as worry begins to take over the room. She panics for a brief moment before being met with blackness. The room falls silent. Her former drinking partners shake her briefly to confirm that she's unconscious, before calling for someone outside. The door swings open, and in walks the aged man, Oswin. He walks forward, pushing a cart, looking even more brutish than the last time we saw him. He drags Erica onto the cart and grunts as he leaves the pub, humming a familiar tune. Though he doesn't sing the words, the tune alone could make your heart sink. It is the prophecy of Rathma. It is spoken as follows. I saw my corpse, and from my mouth crawled hatred. A father burned his children on a pyre, and a mother molded a new age from the ashes. I saw the weak made strong, a pack of lambs feasting on wolves. Tears of blood rained on a desert jewel, and the way to hell was torn asunder. Then came a spear of light, piercing hatred's heart, and he who was bound in chains was set free. As Oswin completes his tune, we approach the large barn, which, in short order, is shown to be more of an abattoir. Blood lies everywhere, along with organs and ritualistic-looking candles. Oswin drops Erica in the middle of the room and places flower petals in her mouth. By mother's blood, by mother's body, so shall you witness her glory before you die, he states as he walks back to sharpen his knife. Erica stirs slightly, still incapacitated by the clear poison she's injected, but also waking as a bodily defense mechanism to the putrid petals in her mouth. She is cognizant only enough to witness her incoming doom, but not enough to prevent it. By the will of some good graces still here on Earth, a man sneaks in, cloaked, with wild eyes and a club. He sneaks up behind Oswin and strikes him down, then turns to Erica and jolts her awake. "They're coming! The whole damned village!" he exclaims. Erica stammers around, trying to get her wits about her, the drugs still holding some effect. She unsheaths her sword and prepares defenses with her savior. Treacherous as the citizens turn out to be, they were not good warriors and were easily dispatched by Erica and her new friend. A friend that she came to realize was this so-called madman from earlier. As the two seek refuge away from any other potential pursuers, they're able to share their stories. Joseph, as he introduces himself, is a holy monk, a member of the Cathedral of Light. He came to this village and had been poisoned in the same way Erica had been. Still feeling the effects of the drug, Erica drops to her knees mid-story and vomits a putrid red substance. Petals of blood, Joseph says, in a tone mixed of unease and understanding. Come, let us search the chapel. If there is reason for this blasphemy, it will be found there. Upon entering the church, they are immediately met with a large satanic symbol on the ground in front of them, seemingly created with the same substance our wanderer had just vomited up. Leaning down to investigate, Erica is immediately met with a flash of light and a bell ringing. She looks around, but cannot see so much as her own hands. This is a vision, and frighteningly, one she does not have control over. As she looks around, she sees a priest speaking to his congregation in this very church. She recognizes some of the faces, Vanny and other townsfolk that recently meant to sacrifice her. The priest condemns his audience, warning them that their sins are a sorry show of gratitude for the Father's offer of salvation. And as he continues on, a shadow grows over him, increasing in size until the whole room feels dark. It's Lilith. She looks towards the congregation, eyes dark as night, and begins a sermon of her own.
My children, the lords of hell are coming to devour our world. Salvation lies not in the light, but in you. The faith has taught you to deny your heart's desire and turned you into a prisoner within yourself. Break the chains and discover who you were meant to be. Break the chains and be beautiful in sin.
Looking around the room, Erica notices a very different demeanor in the congregation. She narrows her vision on Vanny. Something's different in her eyes. Erica's eyes follow Vanny as she stands up from her seat, walking over to the priest and beats him to death as a mob joins in. This town has been seduced. The shadow moves towards the door. As Lilith begins her departure, a pale man meets her. Recognizable now as the same man who summoned her to begin with. The two exchange words, but the work left to be done, and Lilith orders him off to a place she calls the Dry Steps to continue the preparation. At that moment, a white flash appeared, and as Erica's eyes cleared from the blinding light, she began to feel very cold. Moments later, she realized she was out lying in the snow, with Joseph standing over her. As he reached down to help her, Erica pondered the vision. It felt so real, and as frightening as it was equal parts confusing. It seemed more like a memory than a vision, and she was certain of its accuracy. She had experienced the evils of this seduced town firsthand, after all. But what were the Dry Steps? What was the Pale Man preparing? And dare she get any more involved than she already is? Joseph looked at her now, eye to eye, clearly concerned. "You fainted," he said. "I had to pull you out of that accursed place." "I had a vision," Erica exclaimed quickly, knowing she had endless questions for the man. "Well, what did you see?" Joseph asked quizzically. Erica recounted what she had seen. A horned demon seducing the townsfolk, referring to them as her children, and being welcomed as a mother, while the people fall prey to their darkest desires. Joseph's already concerned face paled as these visions were recounted. He was especially concerned by the demon's insistence of her motherhood role. Although Erica wanted to ask a dozen other questions, Joseph insisted that he must report back, to the cathedral in Kyovashad with this news immediately. As a parting request, he asks Erica to travel to the windswept cabin. He exchanges some brief directions and explains to her that the purpose is to find a hermit named Lorath. The man is of questionable allegiances, but is likely to have more knowledge on the context of her vision. Such information would be of infinite value to the cathedral, herself, and possibly all of Sanctuary. The two leave Nevesk immediately, before any more trouble is to be found. Erica finds herself at Windswept Cabin within a day's journey and enters to find no one home. The wind howls outside as she explores the cabin, room to room. Everything seems in order until she comes to a study with a strangely ornamented table. There are jars with organs in them, accompanied by various weaponry and tools. The skull of a goat and candles around do not give Erica the impression that this is the cabin of any kind of holy man. An unease begins to grow within her as she hears footsteps approaching the front door behind her, louder and louder. The last sentence leaves a chill down Erica's spine as she shares a long, knowing silence with Laura.
If you're going to trespass into my home, rifle through my things, then at least have the decency to join me for supper. I'm bloody hungry.
After the moment, she comes to a conclusion that she shares with Laura. I will use my connection against her. I can find out what she's after. That is exactly the answer Lorath was looking for, as his somber face finally showed the slightest sliver of a smile. Good, he exclaimed. Get some rest, then we'll start in Kyvoshak. If we can't stop Lilith, we'll all be damned. Time in Kyovashad, as it turns out, would be quite brief. Much of the time was spent on battle preparations, such as purchasing weapons and saddling horses for the journey. It was, however, a fantastic opportunity for Eric to learn more about her new partner. And she would find that as intimidating as he may seem, he was actually quite a peculiar man. For example, he had sent her to pick up his weapon without once mentioning she would have to purchase it. He ignored the required rituals of the townspeople for rite of passage into the city, and he very much seemed to do as he pleased, with little thought of the consequences. He seemed a very puzzling character indeed to Erica, and she found herself wondering just how trustworthy he really might be. But what choice did she have? As their preparations came to a close, Erica pulled out an amulet given to her by the shopkeeper earlier that day. Erica believed that Lorath would have some answers about it, as she received it along with his weapon from a friend of his. This amulet, as it turns out, was a mark of the Horadrim, an ancient order of scholars and mages who were sworn to protect Sanctuary from demons. Lorath, as it turns out, is one of the last remaining few, along with a companion of his named Donan. Lorath praises Donan for his knowledge of demons and suggests seeking him out in Skoslan before heading to the cathedral to report back to Joseph. Erica is taken aback. Their paths thus far have seemed joined. Are we not going together? She asked. With that, Lorath mounts his steed, nods to Erica, begins his departure from the city mysteriously. As he leaves our wanderer in the stable, he reflects on the recent events. Bewildered and yet motivated, he cannot help but mutter to himself.
Sometimes our paths in life are set to collide. We just don't know it. Whether it is by accident or fate's hand, there is nothing we can do about it. The wanderer lost in the storm, fed the blood of Lilith, saved by a lone monk. Different lives and incidents drawn together. By what? Destiny? Or some greater power pulling the strings? I did not know. But at the time, I thought I had the chance to protect humanity from the daughter of hatred. The Wanderer's connection to her gave me hope. Imagine that.